Spirit has a message for you about family karma you're meant to break. All you need to do to hear this message is pick one of these three piles. Pick whichever pile attracts you the most, that is your intuition, but let's meditate on each of these piles by looking at them up close. Pile 1 is an orb. Pile 2 is a wizard. And pile 3 is a bottle. If you need to, you can pause the video and meditate on those piles some more, but otherwise, once you have your pile in mind, all you need to do is go down into the description or comments of this video and click on the link to that reading, or if it's easier, you can select the time bar and scroll right to that part of the video. So let's go ahead and get started. Hello pile 1, my orb pile. Let's see what family karma you're meant to break. We're going to start out by pulling 3 cards from the Dark Mirror Oracle deck. Spirit, what sort of karma is pile 1 meant to be breaking? What are they meant to break? So your first card is sacrifice. It seems like your family, your current family, or your lineage had to make a lot of sacrifices. The second card is the colorless angel. These sacrifices were not fair sacrifices. They were at the expense of your family, and that just wasn't fair. And then the third card is revenge. It does seem as if your family was targeted, it was a premeditated attack. They attacked your family and forced them to do major sacrifices in order to enact revenge, in order to punish them. And it seems like this is something that was perpetuated across the generations. This was designed to basically make your family in a worse situation than they needed to be. It seems as if your family was put into a position where they had to lower themselves. They could have found themselves into poverty, generational sickness. They could have been forced to migrate, any sort of those possible things. They could have found themselves forced to integrate a family member who was a criminal and then perpetuated abuse, but it definitely seems as if your family was a sacrificial lamb, and that is what you are meant to break in this lifetime. You are meant to live a life where you don't perpetuate this cycle of suffering. So let's pull some tarot cards. Let's get some more details about why this even happened in the first place. Spirit, why did this happen? Let's pull 3 cards for that. What was the reason that this occurred? Alright, the first card is the High Priestess. It does appear as if there is some sort of magical element involved. The next card is the 4 of Wands, which is about a celebration, like a wedding. And then the next card is the King of Wands. I'm seeing this as in contrast to the High Priestess, some sort of ruler. I think that your family may have been either witches or pagans, or at the very least, indigenous or folk practitioners, to where they were actually doing what was normal at the time. Because I think until the 1800s, even though there really wasn't much paganism or witchcraft among the peasants in Europe, for example, they still had a lot of folk practices which were either inspired by earlier paganism or transformed Christian practices in a way that would appear to be very witchy, even though they technically weren't. But these practices, whether they were either clearly witchcraft or folk practices, were targeted by someone in a position of power, this King of Wands feature, this King of Wands person. They were probably a government official, a church official, or even if it was further back in time, perhaps like a local lord. But they really didn't like the private spiritual power that your family had, and they saw that it would continue in a marriage. So your family was going to marry someone else who also were either practitioners of those folk practices, or they were willing to accept them, so they would be protected in your family lineage. But the King of Wands intervened. The King of Wands did something to ruin that happiness. I want to pull 3 more cards for additional detail. Spirit, what else went on here? What went on? The next card is the Knight of Cups reverse, which is about some sort of breakdown of romance. So I did get this feeling, and it was confirmed with this card, that the King of Wands probably either stole the spouse that your family was supposed to marry into, or they forced a woman in that line to perhaps even marry him or marry someone related to him. That way they could steal away that person. We have the Two of Swords. 2 does mean a partnership, and this could be about making an important decision, blindly at that. And then we have the 9 of Swords reversed, a releasing of anxiety. So your family was actually quite powerful. They were probably well respected by the locals. It's quite possible that this didn't happen in the medieval period or the early modern period, but perhaps during the rise of the industrial age, when those folk practices started to die out. And obviously this is going to change for everywhere in the world depending on where your family is from. For example, if your family is from the Americas, then this would have been more recently. And if they were from some other place in the world, like China or Korea or Japan, something like that, it would have been during a major religious change, such as when I believe they went from Shintoism or to Buddhism or something like that. That could also apply. But I do think that your family member was sacrificed to keep this person in power and to erase that magical lineage. So let's pull 5 cards for what you can do to help break this, because we know what happened. How can you break this? What's going on here? Spirit, what does pile 1 need to know about breaking this family karma? Because I definitely feel as if your family is trapped. They're unable to express themselves spiritually. They feel very, very oppressed. And another way this could express itself, because it may not necessarily be like witchcraft or paganism or folk practices. Let's say, for example, your family was involved in the Protestant and Catholic wars. Your family could have represented one of the losing sides. But something along those lines, some sort of change of religion, and then the local power made use of that change. So the first card is the King of Pentacles. You need to be economically independent. So obviously in older times, capitalism wasn't as big of a thing, and people were very much tied to their local government. And so if you come into your own economic power, if you don't feel as if you are connected to a specific spouse, even if you love your spouse or your partner, if you are economically independent, then no one can tell you or your children what they have to believe and what sort of practices they have to follow. We have the Strength reversed. This, because whenever I see the lion, I think of containing your beast, allowing your inner beast to reign free. And obviously, I don't mean like you're going to go out and like hex people or anything like that, but you are going to let your wild side, your primal side, the intuition inside of you, you're going to unleash that. You're going to listen to that. You're not going to focus so much on what other people are telling you to do, even if they mean well, but looking inside and asking yourself, what do you believe? What do you feel longing towards? We have the Queen of Pentacles reversed. So I do think that there is this sense you may feel very, very impressed upon by any romantic partner you have. And so it is important that if you decide to marry someone or be really, really connected to someone, that you match each other spiritually, or you agree beforehand that they are going to convert to your spiritual beliefs, or at least respect your spiritual beliefs. And if you are already with someone and you haven't made that agreement, you're going to want to make sure that they are comfortable with you getting in touch with your intuition, with whatever you feel is your family practice that has been hidden for ages, because it's really, really important that you feel individually in control of your spiritual beliefs and spiritual expression. And also, if you have children or you're involved in the community or a community surrounded around your spiritual beliefs, that you feel free to go and do that, and that your partner wouldn't be against that. The next card is the Nine of Cups. And it does seem as if you are going to be doing some sort of wish. You need to want the best for yourself. You need to believe that your practices can give you something, can manifest something for you. And then we have the Chariot. You need to be committed to your practice. Now, you may want to explore a little bit before you decide. You may want to research. You may want to trial things out. But once you feel like you have found your spiritual path, the best way to break your family karma is to commit to that, is not to be moved by the circumstances in your life, but to spiritually commit to that practice. Now, the last thing we're going to do today is pull 3 cards from the Work Your Light Oracle deck to figure out how you can use your spiritual practice once you do adopt it to bring light into the world, because it's not just about following a spiritual practice, it's about actually using it. Because I do think, because we had this High Priestess card here and we had this King of Wands afraid that you were going to use your powers, does indicate that you are quite powerful, that you have some sort of spiritual power or spiritual gift that is really, really influential in the world. So let's see what that is. Spirit, how can pile 1 work their light into the world? What can they do to work their light? The first card is Awakening. Energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration. So you are going to obviously spiritually awaken, but I also think that you are going to upgrade your life. And I think that means in a material way too. The King of Pentacles is a very wealthy card, a card of contentment. And I think you are going to really level up in your life in such a sense that not only are you materially comfortable and you are comfortable with your spirituality, but you also feel as if you've upgraded, as if you have become part of a higher class, right? So this King of Wands, whatever is the contemporary version of that, would have no power over you, not just economically, but they also don't have peer pressure over you. So people are going to really feel your spiritual power when they meet you. They're going to feel as if you are this prestigious, powerful person just because that is your aura. The next card is Birthing a New Age. birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. So this is a strong indication that you are creative in a spiritual sense, that you change the world. Now this could be some through traditional creativity that inspires people, that really gives you a name, but it could also be in the way that you actually interact with others. For example, this is just an example, this may not be your spiritual practice, but imagine somebody decides to get back in touch with more witchy practices, and they decide to start following the pagan wheel of the year, and then they have those 8 holidays each year, and then they invite their family, their friends, people from their community, and they may not be witches themselves or pagans, but it becomes an event. They go to this person's like Samhain celebration, and they just enjoy being together, and then it becomes just this new event. Like, you are redefining how the world interacts with you, your family, and all of those wonderful things. Your last card today is Align Your Life. What is not aligned or needs to change. So I do think you have some baggage from your family, some baggage from the life that you felt you had to live. For example, if your family had generational poverty, you may have a bit of a poverty mindset. You may say and do things that people who are impoverished do, even if you actually are financially comfortable. And while it is amazing, for example, to be very modest by choice and to be careful with your budgeting, it's another thing to go a little insane with it. I remember seeing this video where this woman was afraid to spend money, and one of the things she was afraid to spend money on was paper plates. So she would cut the paper plates in half, that way she could save money and double the amount of paper plates she used. That's kind of what I mean by a poverty mindset. When you start doing things that don't seem logical and actually aren't helpful, but it's basically emotionally hugging you and making you feel comfortable in that poverty. You don't want to do that anymore. You want to ascend to this higher position in life, because you will get a higher position, and be quite comfortable with that. And so anything else that doesn't match that, over time, you are slowly going to let it go. Sometimes you can do this just with change of habits, with self-help books, but if there's anything that is really, really intense, you're going to want to talk to someone you can trust, maybe even a therapist or a financial advisor, depending on what the issue is. That way you can break away from it, because you definitely want to be aligned with this more ideal life. So pile 1, you had a really interesting spread today. If you resonated with it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more. You can also go into the description of this video for links to my socials, or to book a private tarot with me, a private tarot reading with me. Pile 1, I wish you so many blessings. I can't wait to see you again. Hello, Pile 2, my wizard pile. Welcome to your reading. Let's see what Spirit wants you to know about the family karma you need to break. We are going to start with 3 cards from the Dark Mirror Oracle. Spirit, what is the family karma that Pile 2 is dealing with right now? What is lingering around in their life? All right. The first card is the Temple of My Body. It does appear as if there's some sort of fixation on health or appearance. The next card is Bride in a Cage, so definitely appearance related. There seems to be some sort of inferiority complex or even obsession with beauty. And then we have Blinded to Pain. Your family is definitely pushed to do things that hurt themselves. And this can take a few forms. Perhaps when you were growing up, your parents pushed you to dress or look a certain way, even if it hurt you, even if it hurt you emotionally. Sometimes some girls are forced to starve themselves so they can stay skinny. Sometimes their family pressures them to get cosmetic surgery because they're very insecure about the looks that they're passing down. And sometimes it can take the other form where there is neglect of appearance, where people are so numb to their looks and their beauty or lack of beauty that they actually just give up. And even though their children actually do have some pretty decent features, they aren't taught how to groom themselves, how to care about themselves, because being ugly actually is a defense mechanism in the family to account for previous generational trauma. So let's pull some more cards here. We are going to pull 5 cards to figure out the background behind this. Spirit, what is the background? What is the cause of this? What is the cause of this appearance of fixation? What is the cause? The first card is the Knight of Wands. I think there was someone in the past that was really, really attractive. I feel like this isn't one of your family members, but someone they were attracted to who was basically the perfect person, like the best catch that anyone could have possibly had. And then we have the 5 of Pentacles reversed, which is about returning to something, about returning to community or spiritual help. Let's get more context here. We have the Lovers reversed. So my impression is, because the 5 of Pentacles is often about kind of like returning to church, and recently I've been finding that it really resonates with getting married when you were previously reluctant. And I think that someone in your family's past basically flirted with your family member, and this could be in the recent past, like a parent, or hundreds of years ago, because sometimes this family karma can last a long time. But they flirted with your family member, they made them believe that they were in love, and they were initially hesitant to get married. Maybe there was some objections, maybe they didn't think it would work out, but eventually this Knight of Wands convinced them, let's get married. But then something happened. The love wasn't real, or there was some sort of divorce. We have the Moon reversed, which is about a secret being revealed. And then we have the 4 of Cups, not liking what is being offered. So I think that this Knight of Wands was quite shallow. They approached your family member and they didn't actually love them. They just liked the chase. They managed to get married, and then the marriage fell apart because what was revealed was that this person, this Knight of Wands, didn't actually love them. They didn't really care about them. And for some reason, your family member believed that appearance was the cause. Let's get a little bit more information on that. We'll pull 3 cards. What is some more background, Spirit? What else do we need to know? The first card is the 6 of Swords, returning. We have the King of Swords, someone who says or does something quite harsh. And then we have the 7 of Pentacles reversed, which is about a bad investment. My impression is that because this Knight of Wands loved very shallowly, they probably had a whole bunch of other people on the back burner. And as soon as they realized they didn't like this marriage or this relationship, this committed relationship, they left, and then they found like their side chick or their side bro, and they decided to stay with them. And what they did to justify it was they told your family member that they weren't good enough, because they weren't beautiful enough or handsome enough. Like as they were getting older, they were saying, you know what, I need to trade you in for a younger model. And that just really dramatically affected your family member in the past. And they thought, if I am not physically perfect, no one is ever going to love me. So let's see how that may be affecting you in this life. We're going to pull 3 cards. How is that affecting you in this life? What's going on there? How is this family karma lingering? The first card is the 3 of Pentacles. This is about working with mind, body, and spirit. So they may think that if they physically aren't good enough, maybe they're also not smart enough, or maybe there's something wrong with them morally, like they're not working hard enough to be good looking. There's something called the halo effect, where if someone is good at one thing, and this is often considered the most obvious one, which is appearance, like if they're pretty, then they're probably also smart and kind, and sometimes that's true, but oftentimes it's not true, and they believe that the halo effect is important and true, and if your family isn't attractive, then everything else about them is also incorrect. We have Judgment. Yes, they were very, very critical. They thought that being critical about appearance would fix the problem. And then we have the 5 of Cups, crying over spilled milk. Every single physical flaw that they saw, that your parents saw, that you saw, you assumed that the world was over, that nothing would be good. But with the 2 of Cups here in the background, actually you do have some amazing traits that are actually quite attractive. One thing I think of are Italian noses. Like, I think Italian noses are really, really attractive. It always surprises me when people get cosmetic surgery to correct rather normal looking Italian noses. But at least in the United States, a lot of Italians don't think that they're attractive, so they try to get them corrected. And that's one thing. Sometimes, even if your appearance isn't the objective beauty standard, there are people that like it. Margot Robbie, who is a beloved actress that many Americans think is beautiful, a lot of Japanese people think she's actually quite ugly, or she's not like up to the beauty standards. They just don't like her face, I guess. And that just goes to show someone can be really, really beautiful to someone, but to other people they're not beautiful. But then there's someone out there, like, you need to believe that your natural traits are worthy, are admirable. And there are going to be people, for example, going back to your family member, who thought as they got older they would be uglier and unlovable. There are people that when their spouse and significant other gets older, they're like, you're even more beautiful than the day that I met you. And objectively they're not, right? They're probably wrinklier, their body is probably sagging, but when their spouse looks at them, they just see the person they fell in love with each day a little bit more. And that's something to keep in mind. You aren't looking for someone to just be attracted to you. You are looking for someone who is going to truly love you. So let's go ahead and pull 3 more cards from the Work Your Light Oracle deck to figure out how you can heal this family karma, how you can live out healthier psychological approaches to living. Spirit, what does pile 2 need to know about being content with their appearance? What does pile 2 need to know? What is important here? All right, your first card is Break the Chain. Okay, this is the ancestral patterns, the healing, the rewriting, the future. This is the quintessential breaking family karma card in all of my decks I own. I own like 80 decks. This is definitely about understanding that you can choose not to believe in this fixation, this toxic fixation with beauty. And when you do that, if you have kids, you are going to teach them to have a healthy view of themselves. If you have influence over younger people or friends, you're going to be able to influence them to truly love themselves. But especially with you, you are going to be able to look in the mirror and be happy with who you see. Like, you are going to figure out how to do that. Like, even before this reading, you had either already done it and this reading is just a confirmation, or you are in the process of getting it done and you're going to succeed. Like, it's going to be unlikely that you're not going to succeed. Like, you're not going to have to put that much work into it because you're already almost there. The next card is Warrior Woman. Have you answered your deepest calling? So one of the problems people have when they fixate with appearance is that they are only focused on how they look. And that's not the best way to fixate on life. You need to have a life purpose. Let's use an example. Let's say someone was born really, really beautiful and they were able to be like an actress. And they might think, oh, their whole life purpose is tied into being this mid-20s actress who is the woman everyone wants to look like, the woman every guy wants to be with. And then as soon as this woman hits 40, she thinks, oh, I have no worth anymore. I need to get all this cosmetic surgery in order to get the same roles that I once did. But a better fixation when it comes to acting wouldn't be about being that heartthrob. It would actually be about being a good actor. So maybe this person would transition into older roles. I think of Helen Mirren, for example. She is amazing at older roles. Or maybe they could be someone who directs or helps younger actors really live out a really good experience. And it wouldn't be about trying to recapture those glory years that they lost. So even if you are someone who uses their appearance, that's okay. Like, it's perfectly fine to use what you have if you have it, but you need to understand that you need to transfer your purpose to something that isn't solely focused on your appearance during your youthful years when you are the most attractive. Like, be prepared to move on. And if you have nothing at all related to appearance, make sure that you aren't associating your appearance with what you're doing. For example, nobody needs to be a model to be a teacher. Would it be great to be very, very beautiful and a teacher? That way people would look at you with that halo effect and be like, this person must be a great teacher. Sure, but there are plenty of average or even ugly teachers that I've had who have been great, who were loved by their students, and that's something to keep in mind. If your main skill set isn't your appearance, that's not what you need to focus on. That's not what you need to fixate on. So keep that in mind. And then your last card is Soul Family. Call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. If you have family members who are still alive, especially if they're your age or your gender, so they have the same physical appearance concerns, you're going to want to relate to them. You're going to want to encourage them. Maybe go shopping with them to find articles of clothing that they really, really like and that flatter them at their age, and make sure that they aren't doing weird things to themselves to try to live out this ideal beauty standard that isn't healthy. If you don't have a family member, you can have that soul family. You can talk to your friends. You can join online groups that aren't toxic when it comes to appearance. So no femcel communities, no Vindicta communities. Definitely try to avoid them. I would strongly recommend you not join them. And really connect with people who encourage women rather than break them down. One thing I also want to recommend is there are a lot of amazing channels on YouTube about feminine dating strategy and looking your best, and those can be fun channels, but if they are making you feel really bad, even if you know the creator is not the type of person that would want you to feel that way, you may want to disengage from that content and again focus on your purpose and things that uplift you and real people in your life who can cheer you on and that you can relate to instead. But pile 2, you had a great pile. It seems like you have a family karma that you're going to be able to break, and I am wishing you so much good luck on that. If you resonated with this reading, be sure to like and subscribe for more. You can also go down into the description of this video for links to my socials or to book a private tarot reading. Otherwise, pile 2, I wish you so many blessings and I can't wait to see you again. Hello, pile 3, my bottle pile. Welcome to your reading. Let's see what family karma you're meant to break. And we are going to start by pulling 3 cards from the Dark Mirror Oracle deck to see what is that family karma. Spirit, what is pile 3's family karma? What is pile 3's family karma? All right, pile 1, your first card is anger and chains. There's a lot of frustration in your family's past. The second card is black flower fragrance. It's almost created a mold or this dark miasma. And then the third card is this me? It has caused this weird psychological construct in your family's minds where they say and do things they don't mean, and then they ask themselves what happened. So there are a few possibilities here. One is that your family is inheriting a mental illness or a tendency to be really angry and easily flustered. This could also be a sign of some sort of curse or some sort of spell somebody put on your family. This could have been generations ago to where that person is no longer alive, and that could have happened. It could have some lingering effects, but I do think that whatever this is, it has caused a little bit of poisoning in your family, and that needs to be corrected. So let's see what we can find out today. The first thing we're going to do is pull 3 cards from the Crow Tarot to figure out a little bit about the background here. Spirit, what is the background? What is the origin of all this? All right, the first card is the 7 of Pentacles, some sort of investment. So this definitely was a seed planted that has been growing and growing. Sometimes anger really just snowballs. Like it could cause someone in your past, like maybe 200 years ago, to do something out of anger that makes it harder for the family to live. And then people just keep getting more and more angry, and it just snowballs out of control. So it could actually be worse now than it was when it first began. The next card is the 8 of Wands, but things are slowing down. I think this lifetime really is the point where things turn around, not just for you individually, but perhaps for everyone currently still alive in your family, or is soon to be born in your family during your lifetime, even if it's just nieces or nephews or something like that. We have the 2 of Cups. So this is about some sort of broken partnership. It does seem as if somebody was scorned and they decided to punish your family. This could be romantic, like a scorned lover. Let's get some more information here about this person, because it was definitely a person that caused it, not a situation, a person. What caused this? Who caused this? Alright, the first card is the Seven of Swords reverse. This is about a thief. We have the King of Wands. This makes me think of someone who is super charismatic, super in love, or super powerful. Let's get the third card. We have the Six of Cups, somebody who is able to give. So I think someone in your family was in love or had positive feelings for someone else. It could even be a friendship, but they were nice to somebody, and this person who caused this, basically this curse on your family, that's the only way I can describe it, or like a really powerful evil eye. They wanted to steal your family's happiness by making things so much worse, because things were going really, really well. And the reason why I say like a generational curse is, especially with this Two of Cups card here, and them being likely a scorned lover or someone who believed that love was a possibility, they wanted to punish all the descendants of this King of Wands person. So let's figure out how you are interacting with this in this lifetime, what you need to know about that. Spirit, what is important here? This card fell down. Let's shuffle one more time to get the next two cards. Then we have the World reversed and the Ace of Wands. So with the Knight of Wands reversed, this is definitely someone who sent some sort of magic spell across the ages. And when I say magic spell, it could be a magic spell, but it could also be the evil eye. You can create magic through intentions, and this person could have, through their intentions alone, like really focused on trying to do something terrible to your family. Like they were so infected with their own anger over being scorned. And I kind of get the feeling that this person, they may have loved this King of Wands, but the King of Wands at no point actually liked them back, and this person was just kind of insane. But with the World reversed, I do think that they are trying to worsen the environment around your family to make you more angry. And then the Ace of Wands, definitely trying to harm like the spiritual energy. So in this lifetime, you are definitely dealing with this spell, and it's causing like things in your life to go wrong for no reason at all. Now, not everything that goes wrong in your life is attributed to this spell or this evil eye, but I do think that whenever something goes wrong and it doesn't make sense, and this is a sidebar, but I think I have recently been cursed. The sink broke, the fridge broke, the cat got injured, the fridge broke. Some of this all happened within the same day. The car is about ready to break, and I'm thinking, this is beyond circumstance. Something is happening, and I'm going to have to deal with that in the next day or two. But if a whole bunch of things start going wrong and it doesn't make logical sense, like you don't see the possible origin for how all of this could have happened, or how all of it could have happened so close together, it is the effect of a magic spell. And it's meant to make you feel disempowered and not get in touch with your magic. So whenever you feel really, really angered at your life circumstances, that is this spell at work, trying to get you so flustered and so focused on those negative feelings that you don't do anything to reorient yourself, to take control of your life. But let's see what you can do to take control of your life. We are going to pull 3 cards from the Work Your Light Oracle deck to find out more. Spirit, what can they do to heal from this? how can they break this? Because I can already tell you are going to break this. Like, everything indicates that this is the lifetime. And I do think that you are the generational curse breaker. But let's see what you can do. And obviously you can do magic spells of your own. You can get an evil eye amulet, which clearly is something I need to get for myself. But in addition to that, all those normal things that you hear when you need to break a curse or bring more luck into your life, we're going to look at what else you can do. So the first card is the Council of Light, Divine Orchestration, Helpers in the Subtle Realms. I don't think this is just your spirit guides. Of course, you could ask them for help. I think this is your ancestors. Everyone who has been personally victimized by this curse wants to see you succeed, wants to see you break it. So if you do some ancestor work, and I can't believe I didn't think about this before this card came forward, but if you do ancestor work of some degree, you are going to find that you have someone who has your back, someone who knows what you're going through whenever you feel frustrated or angry about your life circumstances. And they may have some perspectives. Perhaps it's even going to be that King of Wands who knew this terrible person from before who caused this entire curse situation. No, nothing is more powerful than someone familiar with the person that caused the curse. The next card is Deep Replenishment. Retreat, rest, be held. You need to find ways to de-escalate your anger when it happens. Now, I think although some of your family members may be a little bit more angry than you, I actually think you in particular are either less angry than average for your family, or you know that you can overcome that, you know that you can de-escalate that, and that is where your power lies. That is where you take back your inner life force, is by figuring out how to de-escalate. So look up techniques on anger de-escalation, but in general, with the Deep Replenishment card, you need to figure out how to decompress, how to rest, how to lower your blood pressure, how to lower your heart rate, and there's a lot of things you can do. When I worked at Amazon, because it was a stressful job talking on the phones, they actually had a special room in the building where if somebody had a really stressful call, they could just go and relax in the darkness and like sleep it off. But during lunch, they gave us an hour-long lunch because they told us, sometimes calls are stressful and sometimes some people need to go to that quiet, dark room just to lay down on a comfortable couch. That could be something that you can do, but see how the point was to de-escalate all those negative feelings. So whatever makes you feel rested, whatever makes you feel at peace, that is going to be what helps heal you and your family karma, because part of breaking the curse is breaking it individually. Once you weaken that power, it'll start shattering the curse as a whole. It'll be like a chain link. Your last card today is Take a Break. A life's work, not a season. Get off the treadmill. I often get Deep Replenishment and Take a Break together, so honestly, I'm not surprised that I pulled this card, but one thing you need to really be focused on is understanding that just having goals isn't enough, because part of this curse, I think, is wrapped up in you being so ambitious, so goal-oriented that anytime that anything gets in the way, you get frustrated, you get flustered, and you basically feel like you have to keep going, otherwise things are going to break down. But that is the curse talking. For you specifically, that is the curse talking, telling you to lose your mind and go at 100 miles per hour or 100 kilometers per hour, to just keep working, to keep doing. And that's not what you need to do in order to take control of your life, in order to be at this moderate pace where you actually get things done and where you are happy and fulfilled. Is you need to be in either a positive emotional state or at the very least a neutral state. So one thing I really want to recommend you to do is to, either on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, rate your current anger level. I would prefer 1 to 5. I think 1 to 10 is almost too much, but when you create that scale, write it down, maybe have picture representations of each level, and then represent perhaps each level a specific example of your life for what is not at all anger inducing, like a level 1, and then level 5, what makes you the most angry possible, like your most angry memory or the most angry thing you can imagine happening in your life. And then anytime you have an intense emotional event, rate your anger. And then if it is above perhaps a 2, because it's normal to get a little bit agitated and angry in daily life. You don't have to be completely neutral all the time. But if you get to a 3 or above, that is when you know you need to do some sort of activity to decompress. So, pile 3, I really think you are going to break this family karma. You are definitely the one destined to do it in this life. You seem to be pretty powerful. I don't think this person was prepared for you to ever be born, but you are the one. If you resonated with this reading, be sure to like and subscribe for more. You can also go down into the description and click on any links to my social media that interest you, or to book a private tarot reading. Otherwise, pile 3, I wish you so many blessings, and I can't wait to see you again.